Hello, friends, fellow vinyl lovers, music lovers, junkies. Welcome to my next update. I couldn't wait to find the time to do this. I'm back at work today and the usual grind. Um, but I really love having met and connected with all of you fellow music lovers and collectors. This is just the best to share with you as well as to watch what you're sharing and listen and discover more music because by all means I don't know I know very little actually, and you know it's the truth. As much as I don't know jack shit. With that in mind, I'm going to show a small selection of music I haven't touched on at all yet, which is post-punk favorites from the late '70s going into the '80s. Post-punk. Um, I don't like the term new wave, but just good stuff from that time period, late '70s moving into the '80s. But the first thing I want to show is today Bright Eyes record was released, and I bought it, and it is gorgeous. I mean, it's a good record. I'm playing it in the background, but look at this packaging. Oh man. And 180 gram vinyl, extremely thick cardboard. Comes not with a MP3, but an actual CD and a sticker. Now, I was watching a video on here on YouTube on the manufacture of this record, and I saw red vinyl copies. And how do you get them? Because there's no indication. I guess they're going to be a big surprise for somebody. Oh, and here's the CD cover for the Bright Eyes. But to talk about some more music that really turned me on, and I got heavily involved as a musician in the '80s, being inspired by the DIY thing and punk. Honestly, although I thought punk started back with. Honestly, with Iggy Pop and Velvet Underground, that's what in MC5, I thought of them as punk before they started using the word punk. But anyway, post-punk, I call it that when groups really started to diversify, and you did actually hear people that could play again. Of course, I appreciate people that can't play, but I do love good musicianship. And with that in mind, let's go to Magazine's second album, Secondhand Daylight. The first album is awesome too, Real Life. But I just love this album and just really consider this an early masterpiece. I think these guys laid the template for a lot of folks who just haven't stepped up and admitted it. From Norway, the band Fra Lippo Lippi in Silence. This is an original copy. Again, they were taking the Joy Division thing, moving more into kind of a doom goth thing, but not goth, because they ended up becoming beautiful pop music. But this album is very atmospheric and stark, and it does call to mind early Joy Division, but in a good way. Also on the collectible Uniton label, I mentioned Julian Cope in one of my other posts, and this was his band, The Teardrop Explodes. This was their album, Wilder. He showed from the very beginning, even back when he was playing with Pete Wiley and Ian McCullough from Teardrop Explodes. The early stuff showed some pretty wild imagination as well as deep, deep love of rock music. Now, this Bright Eyes is sounding good. Now, this is a band from Holland that, again, just have never understood why they're not known. Mini Pops, Sparks in a Darkened Room. This album still sounds groundbreaking to me, and it's 30 years old. Electronic, but also that motoric type of rhythmic thing going on. I think these guys are fabulous, and I have all the not. I think I have all their albums. I had to throw this in here. Charles Hayward, um, This Heat, the drummers who I was just mentioning. I think this came out about 1980. I just had to mention this. Not associated with any necessarily music scene or genre. Just really forward thinking, and I don't want to use those terms too much. This one is a good one for you to listen to and find out what you can handle. Throbbing Gristle. I got turned onto them early on and bought the stuff early on, and then went through a religious thing, which I've recovered from, but I got rid of everything because their stuff is so disturbing. But I still have a few, and 20 Jazz Funk Greats is just a great record. Factory Records is one of the iconic, fabulous labels from England. He put out some great stuff. This is one of the lesser known things they put out. The band called The Wake. And this album is called Harmony. It's got that stark but somehow compelling sound. This was actually just recently released by a record company here from Omaha called Drastic Plastic. I highly recommend this. I'm embarrassed to say that when I went through those changes, I sold all my Wire vinyl. Like, why? I mean, I love Wire. So I have to use this later example because I bought the early stuff back on CD, but I still need to looking for some original copies on vinyl in decent shape. But Wire, I've had friends tell me that they just don't get it. And all I can say is you're missing it. These guys are really creative and just taught a lot of bands a lot that don't even, again, I'll say it again, they're not acknowledged for how influential what they did laid things down for others. My favorites. A band, I believe, from Australia or New Zealand, Shiny Gnomes, Wild Spells. I don't know anything about these guys, but this is really good. Slightly kind of psychedelic. I mentioned Joy Division, and I'll admit that I have suffered from depression all my life, and this music is depressing, but I'll tell you what, when I first heard Joy Division, it hit me like a ton of bricks. This is an original copy. No, this is not a reissue. I bought this when it came out. The first copies that came to Omaha, Nebraska, I got one, and this is it. I've kept it in pretty damn good shape. It's just really, at a time, this was the soundtrack to my life. Are you saying things were that bad, Derek? Well, they probably weren't, but it seemed like it. Echo and the Bunnymen, thought I'd show an EP as opposed to an album, because this is when I played the heck out of when it first came out. Shine So Hard, love this band. This is an interesting album. Two Girls, Deux Filles, Silence and Wisdom. In fact, it's Matt Johnson of the and another cat there in drag here on the cover. It's nothing like the It's very pastoral, very lyrical, mostly instrumental, and it's like stepping into a dream. This is a wonderful record. We were talking about Wire. One of their side projects was Dome. Early experiments in sound. Which one is this? This is Dome. Because I have 3 or 4 of them. This is Dome 3. It's good stuff. Another band that made its origins debut on Factory is the band Dirty Column. Vinnie Riley, amazing and wonderfully singular guitar player. This is one of his rare albums called Amigos in Portugal, made in Portugal. Beautiful music. Cabaret Voltaire. Again, we talk about folks that were doing it before anybody else, like with beats and electronics and cutting things up and sampling. Here you go. Cabaret Voltaire from Sheffield. I had to throw this in there. Einstürzende Neubauten from Germany. Half Mensch. Just, it came to mind as I was thinking of that time period, you know. I would have to look to see what year this came out, but very compelling. Sound put together by literally, excuse me, things from the factory. Scraping Fetus off the wheel, Jim Thirlwell. Fetus has gone through many incarnations. Man seems downright crazy to me, but he's very creative, and this is very, very interesting stuff. Takes you all over the place. You know, you just wonder how does he remember to go back and find these sounds, because it's things that sounds like it comes from like 1950s car ads and stuff. Just really cool stuff. Shout out to Bauhaus. I think everyone should know Bauhaus. Another factory band, and a fine recording of theirs, A Certain Ratio with Sextet, and a beautiful cover as well. Knife Slits Water off of here is just bad. I have everything by the Cocteau Twins, but I thought I'd show the first album, the one that started it off, really before they really knew what they were doing. But Cocteau Twins, excellent band. Another 4AD band, and I love 4AD. Again, I could do a whole series on 4AD. Dead Can Dance, Within the Realm of a Dying Sun. This is not for the faint-hearted, but I highly recommend. If you don't know this music, please find out about it. And it doesn't mean you're going to like it. And I won't be offended if you don't like it. I mean, it's like, how stupid would that be for me to take personally what you do? You know, do what you do because you want to. I'm just sharing this stuff. I can't help but like this. It's like I hear it and it's like it hits me. And that's what I like about music and art. It's like if it's working, it's working. Sometimes you have to come back. Okay, Bourbonese Quark. You know, I'm not sure if they're German or English, but a strange kind of murky electronic sound. They really sound like no one else. Long gone, but I'd seek their records out. Bourbonese Quark. Roz Williams had a band called Christian Death before he died. He was apparently a very risk-taking type of man, but what a voice. Catastrophe Ballet. This band was dark, elegant, and tragic, and for the adventurous, and if you like Sisters of Mercy and that sort of thing, check out Christian Death. Last one of this bunch is one of my favorites, the band Chrome, and one of my favorite albums by them, Half Machine Lip Moves. Used to have an original. Hate saying that. Me and Jeff will be over here talking about records, and I used to have that, and we just look at each other and just want to say, just shut up. You hate it, you know. But sure enough, but I got this reissue on Dossier, and it's a fantastic psychedelic punk record, clear vinyl, a reissue on Dossier out of Germany. So these are some records from the post-punk period, I would call, I would call it. Many, many more that I will show eventually, I hope. There's really so much to show, so many parts of my record collection I haven't gotten to. All through life, I've liked to explore cultures from other countries, and so I have music from all over Europe and the world. So I want to get into that. Punk, I've sold most of my punk, but I still have some favorites. My 45s, I haven't touched on my 45s really hardly at all. What do I got? I'll just grab one right here, right quick, just for example. Here's a Prince Paisley Park single, and this is a import. I believe this is German. I have much respect and love for Prince's music, as well as his personality. Talk about someone growing up in public. So, enjoy. Keep the comments coming. Keep your posts coming. Show me something. This is great. Tell me about your music. This is just the best.